Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Korean Dota League, live from the Beyond the Summit studio. I am not Lysander, standing in for him today, as he did have some real-life obligations. So you guys are in for a treat. A little bit of Zyori in the morning here. It's about 2:15 on the Pacific Coast, and I'm excited to get into our games today. We've got a best of one going into a best of three, classic KDL style. Our best of one is already underway. We've got Team Nemesis facing off against Team Monkey Spanner. Thank you for joining us this morning, folks, and we can go ahead and get straight into the draft. Oh boy. You know, this is a fun experience. This is my first time solo casting from the Beyond the Summit studio, so it's going to be fun, going to be interesting. Get a good 4 hours sleep before we're able to hop into this game. So looking at this match here, this was actually a first pick Mirana from Team Monkey Spanner. We ended up getting into the draft a couple minutes late here, and we were about 15 minutes delayed. Rumor is there were a couple of tech issues on site, but hopefully things will move forward after this. Again, the best of three between MVP Phoenix as well as 5 in Q will be our Tier 1 matchup coming up after this best of one. So anyhow, Monkey Spanner did start things off with a first pick Mirana. That opened up for a Nature's Prophet Venomancer, and then obviously Visage, the second pick for Team Monkey Spanner. And oh, we've got Dota sounds there. They are. Should be coming in loud and clear. So the Korean meta, a little bit different. I have been keeping tabs on Team Zephyr a bit here and there, though this is not the meta I'm used to casting. All in all, it looks pretty straightforward with the picks and bans. Nature's Prophet. Always a good starting choice, though. Not one that we've seen quite as much recently. Team Nemesis with a very obvious open-ended draft here for a little bit of Rat Dota style. We see some of those other pushers being banned out as well. Dragon Knight synergizing very well with that pushing strat, and Pugna, well, one of the pushers that truly needs no introduction. Hell, even the Invoker can work pretty well with that pushing strategy, who has also been banned out here. Kunkka, Slark, and Nyx Assassin all taken out of the pool, as well as the Gyrocopter. Can't go wrong on that front. Bane's still in the pool, though. Could be something that Monkey Spanner, a mouthful of a name. Team MS here on our Radiant side may want to consider.
5 seconds remaining.
One of the problems with the Nature's Prophet Venomancer, first two picks though, not a lot of control on the side of Team Nemesis, and that does sort of pigeonhole what they can grab next. I think their second support is going to need to be someone with some sort of a disable, as Monkey Spanner already with the Visage Familiars as well as the Mirana Arrow. They've got a fair bit of initiation, a fair bit of stun to start things off. And an interesting choice, Undying. Third pick here for Team Nemesis. That'll be interesting to see exactly how they run this Undying. Generally speaking, he's mixed in as a support, and he's really an interesting hero. He's one of these guys that has really high HP in the early levels. It's like one of those really effective supports that starts to lose some of that scalability as the game goes on, but can set up for pretty aggressive tri-lane here. And if that's what they want to opt for, Venomancer Undying can be very scary.
5 seconds remaining.
Be very hard to deal with as well. Rather curious who they want to mix in as their primary carry. I see some folks in chat. Pick Ember. We did indeed see our first competitive Ember Spirit earlier. An MLG TKO, if I'm not mistaken. I actually didn't catch that game, but it was quite the sensation from what I've gathered. Double Battle Fury Earth Spirit or Ember Spirit is I might need to go back to the drawing board with that one. I don't know that we'll see it here, though certainly would be interesting. Clockwork will be the third pickup for Team Monkey Spanner. So again, a very well-rounded draft here. They had some decent initiation with the Sacred Arrow. Now they've got that Clockwork hook shot to throw in the mix. And just a well-rounded draft. They've got a lot of disable, a lot of interrupt, a fair bit of slow coming out from the Visage, the Cogs.
5 seconds remaining.
Very well-rounded. I like what Monkey Spanner are going for here, and they still have a lot of options. They don't have to run an off-lane Clockwork if they choose. Could do some sort of a position 1 Mirana or an off-lane Mirana. Quite a few options with this draft, pending what they want to grab with their fourth choice here. Now, Shadow Shaman is going to be the fourth choice for Team Nemesis, which leads me to believe Undying will not be that second support, as I had first assumed. Interesting choice. Is that a mid Undying, or is that going to be a mid Shadow Shaman? Still a lot of options here as well. I do have chat open, guys, and we'll try and keep
10
tabs in case
seconds
there are
remaining.
any tech issues, any audio issues. If Dota sounds are too low, too loud,
5 seconds
feel free to
remaining.
keep me apprised. I will do my best to keep tabs on the chat. The nice things about
Reserve
casting
time.
KDL is we don't need that delay server. So I can actually keep up with you guys on chat, in chat on a live basis, which is sort of a nice treat here. But Shadow Shaman does solve some of the control issues that I was talking about, Team Nemesis lacking. And again, they have a lot of pushing power, obvious with the Voodoo wards. They've got Plague wards as well, and that Tombstone. All very powerful pushing abilities when mixed together. But as we saw earlier today, that's not always the recipe for success. When you have a team such as this, you sort of put yourself on a timer. You need to do some sort of crippling damage, at least by the mid-game, before the opposition's carries start to take over a little bit. And if this is a Shadow Shaman mid, well, that's all the more indicative of that timer I'm talking about here, because you need to make those wards count. Every single cooldown makes a difference. Monkey Span are taking their time with their 4th pick here. They are going to need themselves another support, and presumably a mid-hero, though Clockwork could go mid, not the craziest thing in the world. They will burn most of their bonus time, as they do consider their options. A lot of decent supports still in the pool that would pair nicely with this Visage. Actually, not a lot of supports have been banned out. They're going to opt for the Sand King. I was going to suggest the Crystal Maiden may work nicely here, but SK, not a bad choice. Some great team fight. Yet another stun added into the mix. I do like the amount of crowd control that they can put out, and you'll have to excuse me here while I sign out of Steam. There we are.
5 seconds remaining.
Some sort of a mid-hero for Monkey Spanner will come out last for sure. We'll see what Nemesis want to ban out. Something like a Shadow Fiend actually would not be a bad choice here, as Monkey Spanner do have plenty of lockdown already. They could get away with a little bit more of a greedy pick. Outworld Devourer also still in the pool. Could be a strong option for them if that's the avenue they want to go for. Though, I worry about their level of anti-push. Sand King, pardon, does pretty well with anti-push. They've got Star Storm, but even maybe something like a Puck for that team fight synergy. I mean, a Dream Coil does pair pretty well with an Epicenter. Any of those would be pretty solid options. Hell, even a Storm Spirit wouldn't be too bad. That would be a lot of initiation power between the arrow, hook shot, and the zip. And they will go ahead and ban out the Storm. So, a popular choice. Don't know if that's what Monkey Spanner were going for here. Storm is kind of an odd hero pickup in the sense that some teams love him, other teams don't care for him too much. He's a kind of a unique play style that some players really thrive with and others... well, they just do okay. Yeah, he's definitely a good hero, no doubt about that. I think Puck would be a very scary pick if mixed in with Monkey Spanner. But they will have that luxury 5th pick, so they can react to what Nemesis grab here. Still very open-ended. Hard to say exactly where they're going to put all these heroes. Nature's Prophet, Venomancer. Really, actually, any of these Nemesis heroes could go mid. Undying mid would be strange, but it is possible. And... hopefully this last pick should shed some light on exactly how they want to set up these lanes. I want to presume that it's going to be Shadow Shaman mid, but like I said, this last pick will be telling. No sense in theory crafting too hard. Monkey Spanner did ban out the Juggernaut. A smart choice here, as he does synergize well with these pushing strats. Also a dirty lane. When paired with Shadow Shaman, Blade Fury on top of Hex and Shackle, well, that's a recipe for disaster, or at least perhaps an early first blood. Whoa, they are going all in push here, folks. Team Nemesis will 5th pick a Lycan to go with their Shadow Shaman, Undying, Venomancer, and Nature's Prophet. All 5 of those heroes bring something to the table in terms of team push, and we'll see how this Lycan works. Now, Lycan's an interesting hero choice. Not regarded as a particularly powerful hero in our current meta. I think we've seen him, by we, I mean the matches that I personally have casted since 6.8. And we've seen Lycan a little bit here and there. His wolves did get a slight buff in the last patch. Now they have permanent invisibility, and they regenerate a bit faster. There's the Puck that I was talking about. I think a very smart choice for Monkey Spanner. Great team fight synergy there as well. Let's get our in-game overlays. There we are, the little KDL. Very nice. So I do like that Puck final pick. I thought he would synergize well.
Prepare for
I have to
battle.
admit I like the Radiant Monkey Spanner lineup just a little bit better. They've got a lot more control. They have plenty of stun. Every single one of their heroes has an interrupt. That's going to make Shadow Shaman's life a little bit more difficult. And Lycan is one of these heroes, sort of similar to that of Weaver, that of Storm Spirit. Really thrives in a game that lacks stuns. He does well against slows. For the most part, his ultimate gives him max move speed. But stuns, that's how you shut down a Lycan. And Monkey Spanner, well, they're well prepared, well equipped to deal with this Lycan. And I question him as a 5th pick. It looks like it will be a position 1 Lycan down here in the bottom lane. And he will be joined by the support Undying as well as the support Shadow Shaman. That does leave us with a Nature's Prophet sitting in the well. And we've got a Venomancer. Looks like some solo
30
safe lane
seconds to battle.
Veno action. And it appears Nature's Prophet will be heading mid. He's got himself a Null Talisman, a couple of pooled Tangos, as well as that Healing Soul. So that is indeed an opening mid build. Let's see how Monkey Spanner want to set up their lanes here. They still have quite a few of their heroes set up around the mid. It will be Puck, played by Dapo here, headed towards the mid lane. No big surprise about that. How are the rest of these lanes going to settle down? Of course, it will be a tri-lane with a solo
battle
clock. I say, of
begins.
course, but I suppose things could change a little bit. The question is, will it be an aggressive tri-lane or will it be a solo safe lane Clockwork? It indeed looks like Clockwork will be headed to the solo off-lane position as the Marana, Sand King, and Visage all head down to that bottom lane for a little bit of try-on-try action. Interesting lane setups here. Clockwork will have his work cut out for him against the Venomancer. Veno not really regarded as a solo hero by most folks, though he does play this role pretty darn well. We've even seen solo mid-Veno a time or two, and it can be pretty dirty, especially if his matchup is melee. That slow from the Poison Sting as well as Gale can actually make it very easy for the Venomancer to zone out a solo melee hero. Now down bottom, let's take a look at some of these tri-lanes, because this is where all of the action is going to be, at least for the early game. Visage, Sand King, and Marana. That is a lot of control. They've got 2 stuns coming out. Not quite a sure stun, but a relatively easy skill shot stun from the Burrow Strike. Should make for relatively easy arrows. Then you've got that Visage follow-up. He did go Grave Chill level 1. We'll grab that Soul Assumption. Now, on the side of the Dire over here, the Undying Lycan Shadow Shaman lane, certainly an atypical tri-lane to say the least. This is one of the things about Lycan is that he doesn't have a great recovery mechanism. He needs some early room, needs some early farm, and I'm glad they're not going for a jungle Lycan straight away because that is rather easy to shut down. And here at least he should be able to secure some farm, though I worry about the level of harass that Monkey Spanner will be able to put out on him because they are out crowd controlled, I think it's safe to say. And you know, this Shadow Shaman, he does have the Shackle here, not going for that early point in Hex, which is a little bit interesting given all of the interrupt at the disposal of Team Monkey Spanner. Neither side will be too particularly aggressive, though. The creep pull will be utilized here by Sand King, so he'll find himself a little bit of experience as well. Looks like it was not blocked by the Dire side. We see a Radiant Ward, and I think they just threw it down for good measure. Will just barely miss the Dire Observer. That is giving them some intel into what's happening over here. We'll see them react as Nemesis comes over, a little Ether Shock to grab some of that farm. Pretty standard stuff going on so far. Up in the top lane, Venomancer is getting the best of Clockwork. That's for darn sure. He's the last hit leader right now, 12-1 against the currently 8-1 Clockwork. So not too bad, but already those Plague Wards being a nuisance in the mechanical ears there of Nace. Let's talk about this mid lane a little bit. No, maybe we'll hold that thought as we see some pings coming out down bottom. Looks like they may be trying to roam over. No, not quite. Perhaps going for it, but nothing will come of it. In the mid lane, Puck sitting 11-1 versus the 10-3. Nature's Prophet, a relatively even mid matchup here. Puck might be able to secure a kill once he grabs level 6. That Dream Coil can catch a hero like Nature's Prophet off guard, or perhaps if he oversteps, if he catches him in an awkward position porting out. But all in all, should be a relatively even farming lane as we see Puck grabbing a couple of last hits there to pull ahead, but all in all, Nature's Prophet doing very well. We can glance at the graphs, and nothing too crazy to comment on so far. Small golden experience lead for Team Monkey Spanner, but not by too much. Most of that is coming from this bottom lane. Marana is the big disparity, now moving ahead as last hit leader, 18-3 against the 9-0 Lycan. Obviously, Genie getting a little bit out-farmed here. He does have Howl as well as the Summoned Wolves as his first abilities, pardon me. And that Howl can come in handy for burst pushing, as well as those team fights. But this Lycan not getting a lot of farm, and this is sort of a scary precedent. I think Monkey Spanner have the stronger tri-lane. We see the pings coming out. They obviously want to set up a kill. They know they have a lot of kill potential here with their stuns, and they want to utilize it to their fullest potential. Fortunately, they've yet to find an opening. This is one of these games where you sort of just want that Mirana to start chucking some arrows. Yeah, it's great if you can land a sure thing with a Burrow Strike opener, but Sand King is not so powerful in the early levels now that Burrow Strike has been kind of beat upside the head with the Nerf stick. I'd like to see Karn just move into the trees, start chucking that arrow if he can catch a stray Sacred Arrow, especially now that it's nighttime. I was just playing Mirana earlier today, and landing those arrows is a lot easier at nighttime if you hide in that tree line. Really limits the vision that your opponents have and, well, their opportunity to react. Karn will go ahead and grab himself some phase boots here to get things started, and that will give him a further edge down here in this tri-lane. If they take a fight, if they take an engagement, they'll have that move speed advantage. Lycan very low on experience, won't be able to do a hell of a lot. Haste Rune did spawn here at the 4-minute mark, and Nature's Prophet did grab it. He will rotate down to the bottom lane. Sand King goes into the Burrow Strike straight away. No way to interrupt it for now. There's the Wrath of Nature. Will clip both the Visage as well as the Mirana. And oh no, an easy double kill for Team Nemesis. Puck comes down. Dream Coil connects. That will be a dead Nature's Prophet as a flare comes out from the Clockwork. He'll also join the fray. Puck now in big trouble. It's a massacre down here by the bottom Tier 1 tower on the dire side of the map. It will be a 3-for-1 exchange. That was our first skirmish of the match, but it encompassed pretty much everyone. Down here, Lycan will be able to finish off the Sand King, but he's not going to get it for free. A Sar Storm as well as a hook shot to the face. A few auto attacks will do it. And Monkey Spanner will clean up that kill. Unfortunately, it will be an unfavorable exchange from their perspective. 2 for 4, and they opened a lot of space for that Venomancer to pressure the top Tier 1 tower hard. Gets it down to about a quarter HP or so as Sand King comes in to deflect. Still, a great exchange for Team Nemesis. So not the way they wanted to get this game started. We'll see the gold graph dip in favor of Nemesis following that success, and that is some much-needed momentum. Lycan still struggling quite a bit on the last hit chart. Only 11 CS compared to the 33 of Mirana. So Priestess of the Moon effectively tripling the position 1 hero from Team Nemesis. And even though they did pick up those kills, he's still in a lot of trouble on that front. We'll see a rotation from the Shadow Shaman mid. And Puck will be in some trouble here. Shadow Shaman only level 4, but does have a shackle. Nature's Prophet throws the Wrath of Nature to start it off. There's the other shock. Puck will be able to orb back to safety. Now Clockwork joining the fray. He is level 7, does have a hookshot available. Throws out the cogs, catches himself a Shadow Shaman, and he secures a kill. All the while, though, down bottom, they were able to take down the Tier 1 tower. Lycan grabs that last hit gold. So, sort of a 1-for-1 across the map, if you will. They grabbed themselves the Shadow Shaman, but it cost them. And it is that Tier 1 tower down bottom. Nemesis will grab that first tower kill of the game, furthering their gold lead. Again, a much-needed pick-me-up for this Lycan, who is now starting to make a recovery. Still at the tail end of the net worth chart, but on the up-and-up. He's at least even with the mid-hero. And, whoa, pardon me, in the mid lane we see more action coming about. Nature's Prophet does get picked off by the Clockwork as Shadow Shaman rejoins the lane. Meanwhile, up top, the Tier 1 tower falls, and the Venomancer grabs a solo kill on the Sand King. That's the power of Venomancer when he has some time to sit in the lane and farm up. Look at this build right here. No points in the Venomous Gale, all about those early Plague Wards, and boy, do they hit hard when there's a lot of them sitting at that tower. So he will secure himself a solo kill. Nemesis further their lead a bit more now. 5 to 4 as we pass the 8-minute mark, and that gold graph just jumping in their favor as they do grab the second tower kill of the match, making it 2-0 in total tower count. Experience lead is still the way of Team Monkey Spanner. See how they continue to react here. This Puck has been picked on a little bit. Really doesn't have a whole lot to his name. Generally, you want to see a Puck working towards that Blink Dagger at this point, and he may be forced to pick up the Power Treads before he goes straight for Blink. Only about 300 in the bank. Brown boots, null talisman, and a bottle. He has been able to grab that magic wand, but this is a very poor Puck right now. And if they're able to secure yet another kill on him, that will really hinder this Blink Dagger timing, which is crucial to a Puck having a big impact. The pushing power of Team Nemesis is in full effect, though, as they do pressure the Tier 1 mid. Glyph is available for Monkey Spanner if they want to try and defend here. Moonlight Shadow to initiate. There's already a sentry down. Out comes the dust straight away. And some cogs come to split the fight, but the Wrath of Nature doing a lot of damage. Puck in big trouble. He'll be the first to fall. Sand King the second. Undying actually picks up a double kill. And now it looks like this tower defense will be a moot point here for Team Monkey Spanner. A 2-for-0 exchange. And this will be the third Tier 1 tower to fall. 3-0 in total tower count. We did see a stray arrow fly in, but not much will come of it. Team Nemesis in full pushing mode here. They will continue to press forward, and why the hell not? If Monkey Spanner don't have a lot of anti-push, they don't have a great way to deal with this, they will continue to press forward. And as soon as they show they will defend, they do make the escape and about face. Shadow Shaman is now level 6 following that push, so they have been able to knock down 3 of the Tier 1 towers before the 10-minute mark without the help of those Shadow Shaman wards. So now that they've got the Mass Serpents, it's going to be even more difficult. Nature's Prophet, following that push, was able to complete his Hand of Midas. A really good Hand of Midas timing here, considering he grabbed the Phase Boots first. So his farm will start to skyrocket as well. Looks like we have a pause request, and maybe we'll be obliged, perhaps not. There we are. So, Venomancer is working towards his mechanism here. He does have the headdress as well as the buckler complete, and more than halfway to the recipe, so that is obviously Team Nemesis. Will be looking for some more team fights as they continue to push and move into the Tier 2 towers, so a mech will come in handy. No mech on the way for Monkey Spanner, and that is always a big difference, especially with the early timing that Venomancer is lining up here. It's really going to help their team fight. Looks like Lycan is working towards a fast Vlad's, and nothing surprising about that. Already has the power treads up, Ring of Basilius, and that Ring of Regen sitting in the inventory, and 2 sets of Arcane Boots down already. The Shadow Shaman as well as Undying have gone the Mana Sustain builds, which is really great. I like this boot setup from Team Nemesis. Mana will give them the sustain they need to keep these pushes happening, and we see no Mana Boots out for Monkey Spanner quite yet. Looks like we will have a resume here. Not sure what the issue was. I cannot read Korean despite popular belief, but we have resumed. So Team Nemesis with so much momentum here, still at an experience disadvantage, but holding on to about a 5,000 gold lead, and this is where they've knocked down enough towers early on that their heroes have a gold edge, and they can use that tilt to further their lead if they are tactful about the engages they take next. Regeneration Rune down bottom here, the 10-minute mark, and Nature's Prophet will go ahead and snag it. We see some pings coming out on Roshan. It appears that Nemesis may opt for a Roshan attempt here. They threw down a sentry already at the low ground, anticipating that a Moonlight Shadow may be coming in. I like the choice. I also like the choice to move into the Rosh Pit. They have a great Roshan lineup. They've got the Mass Serpent wards, all of these summons, and that makes for easy Roshan nice and early here at the 10.5-minute mark. It is scouted out by the Clockwork, and MS know exactly what's going on. They see that the wards are down and that Nemesis are committed to this. The question is, do they want to contest? They have a puck, they have a Clockwork, they have ways to hop in here, but I'm not sure that they want to do that. Then comes the Illusory Orb, will not hop to it. Aegis does not get snatched, and it goes the way of the Lycanthrope. Also finished off by the Dire, so things going the way of Team Nemesis, grabbing an experience boost and furthering that gold lead even more. Up top, we've got Nature's Prophet ready for a little bit of split pushing action. Curious what build the Nature's Prophet will go for here. Now that he's got the Hand of Midas, he could go for like a Shadow Blade into a Sheepsticker Orchid, or he could just go straight all-out pushing and start working on that Necronomicon. Either choice would work out for him here. Sort of a matter of preference. They have plenty of pushing power without the Necro book, so he could opt for something a little bit more gank-oriented, the Space Creator known as the Shadow Blade. Nemesis will start chipping away at the Tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Clockwork is up top as Nature's Prophet was pressuring. And down bottom, we do see Visage now using a familiar mixed with the Marana to start chipping away at the Tier 1 tower for Nemesis. Glyph is available, and it looks like they will let it fall, at least for now. They don't seem to have too much interest in defending, as they will just pressure this Tier 2 of their own and try and force back the Marana that way. Another sentry down. I like that Nemesis are prepared for this Moonlight Shadow at all times. And I believe they have another dust. Yes, they do, in the inventory of the Shadow Shaman. This Tier 2 in the mid, no Glyph available. It will fall. They go for the deny, won't connect. And Shadow Shaman grabs the last hit with just an auto attack. Mass Serpent wards are coming off cooldown here. We see some ports to try and deal with this Marana. The Glyph comes out. Nature's Prophet does port down to intercept. The leap has already been used. If he can catch a Sprout, they may be able to secure this kill. The port and Karn will make it back to safety. They do keep this tower safe, though, and Undying secures the deny. That makes the total tower count now 4-1 in favor of Nemesis. And that singleton tower kill of MS, the deny we just saw from Undying. Just about 13 minutes in here, and Nemesis are continuing to keep the pressure on, as they well should. No reason to back when you have this kind of momentum. The gold draft still continuing to topple in their favor. Now upwards of about a 7,500 gold lead, not too shabby. Experience still going the way of Monkey Spanner. They've done a great job finding farm about the map, despite having to defend quite a bit, but Nemesis are not giving them any room to breathe. Puck still only about halfway to that Blink Dagger. This Clockwork, still no core items for him. About 1,200 in the bank. I think working on a mech is a priority for that Clockwork. They desperately need one if they want to have a chance at taking these team fights. We'll see Nemesis just group up. They'll take out the Tier 2 tower bottom. They'll be happy to pay their Tier 1 mid for that Tier 2 down bottom. Monkey Spanner will get some much needed gold as they at least trade tower for tower, but now there's all these summons knocking on their front door. They still don't have a glyph, and this Tier 3 will take some pressure. The voodoo wards come down, and this all-in pushing strat could do some crippling damage. Still at the early stages of this game. Another 13 seconds or so until that glyph comes up, and that's when they can delay this push. Lycan may be overcommitting, but don't forget he has the Aegis of the Mortal. It will proc. The Moonlight Shadow's already come out. In comes the Burrow Strike from Sand King. He will get off the epicenter. Will do a fair bit of damage from the backside. Puck falls, will buy back, as does the Sand King. Looking a little bit rough for Team Monkey Spanner, though, as Lycan is starting to dive the base. He finishes off the Clockwork. He buys back as well. The Lycan finally takes a spill, but the Tier 3 tower has already fallen. Glyph has returned, and that will help keep the racks alive. These voodoo wards, or pardon me, mass serpent wards, still doing a hell of a lot of damage as they focus the melee racks. They won't have enough power to finish it off, and it will regenerate a substantial portion of that. Nature's Prophet on the defensive does survive, and the rest of Nemesis do back up. So a fair bit of damage done by Nemesis. They also force out a glyph once again, so once those serpent wards come up, that should make for a very, very easy push. Looking at the buyback scenario, 3 of them burned from Team Monkey Spanner right there. The Clockwork, Puck, and the Sand King all bought back to try and keep that bottom racks alive. It was worth it, but showing how far behind they truly are. Gold graph now upwards of 10,000. Experience actually still in the favor of Monkey Spanner, but things starting to look very grim very quickly. The net worth chart reflects those buybacks a little bit more obviously than the gold graph. And Marana, really the only breadwinner here for Team Monkey Spanner. They will do a 5-man smoke. Oh, no, Clockwork gets revealed. And I think Nemesis did catch wind of it. There's the hook shot in. Does connect on top of the Shadow Shaman. Tombstone comes out straight away. Puck hops forward. Dream Coil only connecting with the Shadow Shaman as well as the Venomancer. Still no kills coming out. And there we go. The Puck falls in exchange for the Veno Visage. He'll try to pour it out in the middle of the fray. It won't work out too well for him. All of the heroes left on Monkey Spanner. Very low HP. Sprout comes out on the Marana. She does cut through him and will survive, but all red health heroes, they just have no way to deal with this pushing power of Team Nemesis. There are too many summons on the field, and they just don't have the creep clear. Puck helps in that front, but they don't have these spammable power shot, illusory orb-like abilities to clear the creeps from afar. They just simply can't kill the creeps fast enough. Lycan is going for a fast Necro Book. Nature's Prophet actually just went for a 4-staff following that Handomitis pickup, looking for that positioning tool as they clear out the last remaining outer tower for Team Monkey Spanner. That does take the total tower count now 7-2 in favor of our dire side. The gold graph just still rolling down that hill. Now about 12,000 here at the 16-minute mark. So many towers have fallen in only 16 minutes of gameplay. Not even that many kills on the board, given how many towers have fallen. The glyph will be on cooldown for still another 3 minutes or so, about 2:45. And honestly, Team Nemesis, I think, could just go all in bottom lane, mass those summons, use those mass serpent wards, and Monkey Spanner will be hard-pressed to actually defend that bottom lane of racks. Though they could also just do the same thing mid. This Venomancer, pretty tilted right now. He is level 10. Did very well against that Clockwork in lane. Looks like he's working on a Necro Book of his own with that Staff of Wizardry and Belt of Strength already in the inventory. And, of course, he does have that Mechanism already picked up. No mech on the way for the Radiant side. What is Clockwork going for? Looks like he's going to grab a 4-staff of his own. Not a bad choice, but I think a mech would have come in handy much more than a 4-staff that he may or may not be able to finish here. And, oh, down bottom, pardon me. They do grab a kill onto the Nature's Prophet. As, well, looks like Nemesis were looking for a little bit of Rat Dota strategy. And, whoa, hook shot from Clockwork does connect onto the Shadow Shaman. Venomous Gale does fly. They're going to try and pick off Clockwork before Shadow Shaman falls. The mech comes out. The heal from Undying, but it's not enough. They make it a 1-for-1 trade. Clockwork will pay with his life. Visage again porting out in the middle of the fray. This time Interrupts won't be nearby, and he will port back to safety. It ends up being a 2-for-1 across the map. So, not bad for Monkey Spanner. They at least buy themselves some time waiting for those valuable minutes before the glyph comes back. So they have a chance at trying to make this hold. Down bottom, Mirana pressuring the tier 2 tower. And Nature's Prophet ulti flies. Will do a little bit of chip damage. We see some pings coming in. They will throw a sentry down in tower range. That forces back the Sand King. And now this tier 3 tower in the mid will take some heavy damage. Nature's Prophet, not a bad target to kill, but the problem when he comes back up, he ports right back in. There's the Moonlight Shadow, a sentry already down. The Dream Coil has been burned. In comes the Sand King, does not have the epicenter up. This fight doesn't look good for MS right now. The tier 3 tower in the mid lane falls. Still no glyph for another minute. And I think they will lose Rax right here. They're running out of options. They don't have much mana to clear these creeps. Burrow strike in. There's the Mass Serpent Ward. Also a Poison Nova. Sand King falls. Down goes the Mirana. He'll buy back straight away. Hookshot in from the Clockwork. Cogs come out. He takes a Voodoo to the face. And the Rax have fallen. Those Mass Serpent Wards just doing work while the heroes are the target. Shadow Shaman falls, but it costs them a Clockwork. And Nemesis will be able just to back out here. They take a great team fight. They also take the mid lane of Rax. They will just rotate down to the bottom. Glyph still 15 seconds on cooldown. Maybe enough time for them to do that crippling amount of damage they need. It's before the 20-minute mark, and we've got 2 lanes of Rax down. There's the mech. Apo and Karn, the lone defenders here, but what can they do? There's just too many creeps. They don't have the mana pools to clear it up fast enough. The ranged racks have fallen, or pardon me, melee racks have fallen. Range go down shortly after, and here we are, 10-7, 15,000 gold lead. Still a small experience edge for Monkey Spanner somehow. Oh, but they just don't have it. Look at the item progression. 4 Necronomicons on the side of Nemesis. We've got a Necro Book level 3 in the inventory of Venomancer. Scratch that, 5 Necronomicons as Undying joins the party. This is 100% as all in with the pushing strat as you can get. Just mass units, mass summons. 1 level 3, 2 level 2 Necro Books, and they've also got 2 level 1 Necro Books. They just don't have the creep clear. Here at the right around the 20-minute mark, Puck has been able to pick up a Blink Dagger. Baby steps, folks, at least movement in the right direction, but this Puck is just so squishy. 870 hit points and just has such a lackluster mana pool. But, oh, Venomancer and Lycan, you're going to walk right into him. Puck, as well as the Clockwork, will find an engage. Mech pops out. Venomancer just trying to buy himself some time, but he will fall to the crowd control. Support comes in. Clockwork pays for it, and Puck not out of the clear yet. Will phase shift, but will fall in the end. That ends up being a 2-for-1. All of that just for the Venomancer. Very unfortunate for Team Monkey Spanner. We'll see Mirana poured out to safety, but now this final push could be inbound. Creeps moving into the base. They're forced to keep their supports, or at least one of their supports, on full-time creep clearing duty. And we will see Team Nemesis now just press forward. That net worth chart, pretty scary here at this point. So a quick game 1 it's looking like here, folks. This will be the one last stand for Team Monkey Spanner. They've now got a Glyph of Fortification available, a Blink Dagger up on the Sand King. So they do have some more tools to try and deal with this, but the Mass Serpent Wards come down straight away. They force out that Glyph. Starstorm to try and clear some of the dire creeps, but it just isn't enough. All of them are still alive. In comes the Epicenter. He'll do some damage here. Both Lycan as well as the Shadow Shaman fall. Arrow flies. They grab the Nature's Prophet as well. A decent hold. Undying still barely alive, but he ends up taking a spill. The Mass Serpent Wards did finish off the tier 3 tower, and the melee racks taking heavy damage, but it won't be enough to finish them off. See those Necronomicon units actually doing a fair bit of damage as they get picked off as well. Some of their buffer structures have been cleared out now as the bottom lane's pressed in, but their tier 4 is still in good shape. Still a great push for Team Nemesis. Yes, they get cleaned up, but they still have the map control. If we look at their vision, they've got a couple of wards down, one on the high ground here on the plateau, and lane ward here up in the top lane, though it is about to expire. No wards down on the map right now on the Radiant side. So they have no idea that Roche is even up. They probably have the timer, but no visual confirmation. So that is good news for Team Nemesis. And although it wasn't the best exchange, they do force out the Glyph, finish off that tier 3 tower. Now the Glyph is down after they grab the Aegis. They can basically just all in Zerg the racks. It doesn't even matter at this point. There are just too many units. along with those Mass Serpent wards. There's just no way to stop it. Without the glyph, you can't kill the wards and the summons fast enough, and those wards will be up in just about 20 minutes. I said 20 minutes. 20 seconds is what I meant to say. They did scout out the Roshan, but unfortunately MS could not get there in time to contest, and it does fall uncontested to the Dire, like in the one, to pick up the Aegis of the Immortal, and they will do a 5-man smoke as they rotate out of the pit and into the mid lane. Now Puck is in the front lines, needs to be a little bit careful here. They will press forward, and actually they reveal the smoke. Sentry's coming down. I love the way Nemesis have handled themselves in terms of detection this game. That Moonlight Shadow is such a powerful ability, and they've really had dust and sentries since this game started. Since Mirana hit level 6, they've made sure that if they want to teamfight, if they want to push, they have detection, and there's just been no opening for Monkey Spanner. This has been a great execution from Nemesis. This is how you do an all-in push strat. They've handled themselves very well. They will just push straight up the middle. Moonlight Shadow comes out. Speak of the devil. They throw down another sentry. They're not afraid of those tier 4 towers. It does get picked off, but oh, Puck, you'll poke a bit too far forward. There's the Voodoo Shackle, and in comes a big Epicenter. Does a good bit of damage, but unfortunately just not enough to finish off too many heroes on the side of Nemesis. Shadow Shaman will be the only target he takes down. The Lycan falls, but he still has the Aegis, so that's A-okay. Veno survived long enough to get off his Mech Necro Book and Poison Nova, and that's all a Venomancer has to do. The last lane of Rax has fallen. We're now looking at some mega creeps here, and it's just a matter of time. Visage is fallen. Karn will make it back to the well. Tier 4 towers will get cleaned up, and this will be a quick victory. 24 minutes, and Team Nemesis will be able to do it. A level 3 Necronomicon coming out on Lycan just for good measure. And now that the throne is exposed, just going to be a matter of time. Monkey Spanner, well, they'll try and make the great defense here as they do press forward. They finish off the Undying, but I think it's safe to say at this point, the deal is sealed, and no way you're coming back from Mega Creeps with only 2 tier 1 towers down of your own. Wow. So an interesting game, as well as an interesting strategy from Team Nemesis. Every time I see these pushing strats, I always say to myself, you're on a timer. You've got to do crippling damage, usually by that 30-minute mark. That's the gold standard. If you can get a lane of racks down, 2, you'll be in good shape. And they have done much more than that. This is one of the better all-in pushing strats I've seen. They've now picked up the Pipe of Insight on the Nature's Prophet, a choice that makes a lot of sense here, in my humble opinion. It does hinder some of those creep clear abilities. Mirana did go for the Maelstrom following that Manta first, a smart choice to try and get a little bit of AoE creep clearing as well. We see initiation onto the Lycan, but that really won't achieve too much here. MS, not interested in tapping out. They will fight it till the bitter end, as Nemesis do press forward for this last and final push of our best of 1 here in the tier 2 match. Coming after this will be the best of 3 tier 1 matchup. 5NQ versus MVP Phoenix. Mass Serpent Wards comes down. Here is our final fight. Visage, perhaps the target of choice. Another Epicenter will do a fair bit of damage, but unfortunately just not enough. There's the GG coming out from Clockwork, and that will secure the game. Well played by both sides, but Team Nemesis obviously getting the better of them. That pushing strat just a bit too potent. The tri-lane from MS was pretty powerful, but unfortunately they just couldn't do it. Great execution from our Dire side, though. Team Nemesis, well, they built another fan here in America. Thank you for joining us for the first match of the night here in our KDL coverage. I am Zyori doing solo coverage today at the Beyond the Summit studio as filling in for Lysander. Unfortunately, he was tied up with real-life obligations, so I'm standing in for him today. We've got an epic best of 3 coming up next between 5NQ and MVP Phoenix. And, well, hopefully it gets started before too long here. I think in this game, MS may have had a better chance if that tri-lane was just a little bit more successful. No doubt about it, they had the better tri-lane setup. They had the stuns, and I don't even think Karn chucked an arrow when they were in the lane. I mean, they had that epic team fight breakout at the beginning of the match, and that went in favor of Nemesis, and that seemed to be all she wrote for Team Monkey Spanner following that. Again, thank you for joining us here, guys. We will be back with the best of 3 after this short break. Don't go anywhere. KDL coverage resumes in a moment.